If Russia rejects the ceasefire proposal in Ukraine, the US will have one obvious option: to put pressure on the Kremlin by providing Ukraine with even more military support, the Telegraph writes. That would likely involve going back to Congress and asking both chambers to vote on another package that Trump and Vice President Vance have publicly ridiculed. Trump thrives on being unpredictable, but such a move could prove too much of a political coup even for him, the article says. It is noted that the result of the talks in Jeddah on March the 11th may seem like an extraordinary change in the US position, but below the surface, the truth is much more complex. For all the sound and fury, Washington appears to be following a plan laid out last year by General Kellogg, now Trump's special envoy to Ukraine. It can be roughly summarized as follows: beat up the Ukrainians until they agree to a ceasefire and peace talks, then crack down on the Russians until they reciprocate, the article says. Russian President Vladimir Putin is said to want neither a ceasefire nor American weapons and intelligence to flow back to Kiev. His answer: brace yourself for a new level of guile. He will be extremely reluctant to agree to a ceasefire at the very moment when his troops finally advance on the Ukrainian salient in the Kursk region. In Putin's preferred sequence, a ceasefire would be the last step once everything else is settled, allowing the Russians to maintain every ounce of military pressure to wring concessions from Ukraine in any negotiations. Perhaps more likely, Russia will pretend to accept the offer and do just enough to prevent America from renewing its support for Ukraine by effectively breaking the ceasefire and finding a way to blame Zelenski, the Telegraph suggested. In simple terms, the threat addressed to Russia is: agree to a ceasefire or the US will arm the Ukrainians to the teeth and you will lose. This is the opinion expressed in an article for the Telegraph by Colonel Tim Collins, a former British Army officer. I doubt Vladimir Putin is smiling broadly right now. I am convinced that President Trump intends to receive the Nobel Peace Prize as his legacy. He should achieve it in this term, and with peace agreements in Ukraine and Gaza that cannot be abandoned, it looks like peace will be achieved. It will not be a perfect peace, but the killing and death will stop, the author believes.
Russian state news agencies RIA Novosti and TASS reported on Wednesday that the Russian military have entered Sudza, a town in the Kursk region seized last year by Kiev's forces as part of their surprise cross-border offensive. According to Associated Press, Sudza, with a reported population of about 5,000 people before the offensive, is the biggest town seized by Ukrainian forces in the region. RIA Novosti released a video purporting to show a Russian military commander involved in the operation in the Kursk region speaking over aerial footage of Russian soldiers in the town square. The speaker in the video says that Russian troops have raised a Russian flag over the local administration building. AP managed to verify the location of where the alleged Russian soldiers were captured on a drone camera. The square shown in the footage and its surroundings look identical to Sudza's Sovetskaya Square. There was no official confirmation of that from the Russian or Ukrainian military.